So with that, I would love to kind of pivot the conversation into what are some of the key points of the community as it relates to the Impact Club. I know in some ways I should be the best one to answer this, but let me throw this up to anyone on the David or Sophia. If you want to just talk a little bit about the SmartMoose Impact Club and the purpose that serves.
Sure, yeah. I mean, holders of our NFTs will actually have voting rights, so they can help direct where we are making charitable donations. That's a big part of our mission, kind of behind the scenes, and that'll be more front and center as we progress. So yeah. I mean, we're like building the community. I mean, we all know that how important that is. So yeah, we really want to go on this journey together, and it's going to be interactive, right? We're not just going to be throwing some art pieces up and, just kind of sitting quietly in the background. It's going to be quite an experience, integrating like the metaverse with all of the projects that we're kind of launching. And yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a fun ride. In terms of the Impact Club elements, yeah, Glassy, you're kind of spearheading that yourself. So
I have two hats on. I have building the Impact Club and doing this interview type host type role. So I'm not going to do two different voices. That would just be weird. But you're right that you explained it very well, that the Impact Club, it really is all about building that community of interest of people that are looking to build a larger legacy. I think a lot of the avatar that we're finding that is really resonating with this message are people that might be in like the mid to later stages in their career. They have a ton of accomplishments already. Perhaps they've already reached a certain level of financial sovereignty. And so it's not so much about maybe business success, so much as giving back and leaving a legacy of support or leaving some actual positive benefit in their wake, whether that be related to conservation efforts or sustainability efforts or affordable housing, where some of the founders are also engaged with like tiny homes and smart cities and things along those lines. So we really want to be a catalyst for and a hub, a nexus of sorts to bring this thought power together. And I think we're seeing it over and over, why we kind of hammer this point so much of why it's important to have community. Part of that is because of the collective intelligence. If you have the mind power from all of this different points of view in different years or even decades of experience in different business verticals or in different areas, that the whole is certainly enriched by sharing that knowledge. And by actually moving collectively, we can have a bigger impact. So I think it's exactly with that spirit that we're building the Impact Club, and that we have this initial, I guess you could say, this initial treasury that we'll have to operate with, being the 10% earnings or the 10% donation, I should say, from smartmoose.com into this treasury that will then be directed by the membership, and that we'll be able to essentially vote on different proposals and which charities or which type of granting programs we want to build and put into practice. So that'll be something that we have immediately as an action point. So it's not just all ideas. We can say, no, we actually have some money to do some good, as well as building this community of interest and facilitating the time and space and conversations to unfold, because so much of the strength of the community as a whole builds directly off of the strength of the individual relationships that we're fostering. So by creating that time and space, by creating experiences and events and simple things like these spaces, gathering places where we can share ideas, where we can share knowledge and help onboard people both into the ecosystem, as well as share ideas for what's working, right? When we see certain things that are working really well in the way of impact, well, the best thing that we could ever do is share that around with other people working in the space, so they can also benefit from implementing an effective strategy or a great relationship, a way to build in a cooperative way. So I think that's the main point, and that in a lot of ways has become the foundation for what's happening at SmartMoose, is to really build this Impact Club as a way to establish that foundation and just make it a little bit easier for entrepreneurs that are working in the social impact space to have a little bit easier of a job, right? These people might be directors of charity, it might be B Corps, it might be people that are have a social impact or donation component into their own particular NFT drops, that by cultivating this community, we'll definitely be able to get further and just have a larger impact as a whole.
And the other thing about this and how it ties into the metaverse is in the Impact Club, some of the things that we can do is for those organizations that the community deems that they want to be focused on, we can also use those funds to actually bring them into the Web3 technology. We can actually create and develop spaces for them in the metaverse so that the world can see them. So it gives them better visibility for people to actually walk around, see their projects, hold videos. And there's also things that we can do within and as far as doing NFTs for them as well to bring them into. So the Impact Club, it allows the community to focus the resources on where they feel best are needed. It also allows those to highlight and bring to light those companies, those projects, those nonprofits that we're and what they represent and what they stand for in the community, as well as it allows us to bridge that gap and get them into that technology so that they can have better visibility. So Evan, I wanted to kind of switch back into the metaverse and talk about, where do you see the future of all of this going? Because I know right now we're in a bear market, right? So there's a huge decline, like a 90% decline in the NFT market alone. But that being the case, let's talk about the future. Like, where do you see NFTs, the metaverse, and how do you see them combining, and what's the future look like?
Well, thank you so much. Well, eventually I think we're going to see, a massive merge. And I love the example of Ready Player One for this. So if you look at Ready Player One, if you haven't watched it, you should go and watch it. But all of the hardware that existed within Ready Player One exists now. So you can get a Vario XR3 headset, for example, which has it's a VR headset with the same resolution as the perceived human eye. You can get full body motion tracking and haptic suits, omnidirectional treadmills. All of the hardware is there. The only thing that's missing is that interconnected digital space. And so these metaverse platforms like Decentraland, Somnium Space, Sandbox, and etc. are going to be the stepping stones to creating that interconnected digital virtual world. So I think it's very realistic to say within 5 or 10 years, you're going to see that merge, where now the metaverse, has the same experiences or the same quality of experiences that you would see in a game like Call of Duty, but it has the decentralization that you need, that Web3 brings and that blockchain technology brings, and all of that technology is going to merge. And when that does happen, the metaverse is going to be have an extremely low barrier to entry. It's going to be faster. It's going to be more efficient, and it's going to provide more tools to creators, to businesses, and virtually everybody. And that's when you see like the real push, I think, into Web3, and when it's just the next version of the internet and the next version of being connected.
There you go. So Trish, so for artists, we're going to have to wrap up pretty soon, but I just wanted you to kind of speak into, where do you see the metaverse as a future for NFT artists?
Oh, thank you. Yes. Well, I think that the future is very strong for NFT artists because artists are still creating. And with the other coins that have come up, I think that that's been a huge shift for artists, making it more affordable to create your artwork, and then collaborating with other companies to create your own mining platform, and then bringing the art into the metaverse. I'm doing an art show right now in 𝙤𝙤𝙬𝙤𝙧, and we're combining the art as objects in the metaverse space, and then we can also export the art out as augmented reality in the real physical space. And again, it's a matter of like marrying the virtual world with the actual physical world. And I think that's something we're going to see more of. But for artists, it's limitless. If you can imagine it, you can create it. And that's the beauty of it. And the tools are becoming so much easier, like with the Oculus Quest headset, as a tool. And I use that a lot as well. So it's a very exciting time.
Agreed. All right, Glassy, why don't you bring it home? Thank you, Trish. Thank you, Evan, for being guest speakers.
Absolutely. This has been another session with the SmartMoose.com founders team. It has been a pleasure to be able to ask some questions, talk a little bit about what we've been building behind the scenes for the last couple months for me. And how long has it been? How long has this project been incubating? I think maybe about a year and a half, somewhere in that vicinity.
We've been tinkering around. We're like mushrooms, right? We're growing in the dark. We're about to come out.
Yeah,
We're
it's
about
hard
to
to
do an
say where it really
unveiling.
started because it's the offshoot of work that was decades in development. Certain of the security layers and security protocols in some ways were decades in development. The main point being has been hard at work for a long time just to get the product together, get the brand together, get the ethos and the clarity and the structure all just super on point to now be just revealing this to the world at large. This is just among the first few spaces that we're doing. We have many, many more to come, many collaborative spaces, some great partnerships lined up. So we're just getting going here. And we really appreciate all the listeners for jumping in, giving us your ear and your precious time and attention. It means the world to us. We will continue to grow for you to get more information. I did post a couple cool things, one of them being our lead video, so you can take a peek at that. You can follow SmartMoose NFT. That would be hugely appreciated. And beyond that, tell a friend to tell a friend. If you're into social impact and you'd like to just start getting the conversation going, there is a Discord. There will be many education sessions that will be scheduled and executed in the very near future. We actually did one last night. It went amazing. It was just a very small, intimate session that was helping onboard people into the space. And just while I was ready to give the ABCs, half the people that were there were career veterans. And yet and still, by the end of the call, they were so thankful and had learned a bunch. I was like, oh, wow, I think you could probably run this class better than I could for how much experience you have. But just the same, we're really cultivating that exact type of community where some people might be so well versed and other people might just be getting involved and just be starting their journey. And it's with that kind of diversity that we can have a question and an answer and have the transmission completed. And this is a wonderful thing that we're helping catalyze, and always with a mind for how can we add more resilience and more strength to the Web3 ecosystem as a whole, and certainly on the social impact side. So it's been a great pleasure to do this session. We have many more coming. Check out smartmoose.com to get the more details on the platform, the upcoming drop. There's actually some revisions that are happening to some of the drop details that we're super excited about. So we'll have a lot of new announcements coming up, but hop in the Discord, follow SmartMoose, and we'll be doing a ton more of these sessions in the very near future. Thanks so much for joining.